Peace. Shalom. Back again with the Road from Orion, chapter 27. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It would help me out greatly. Thank you. Don't forget the screenshot so we can all read along together. I've got a better phone, which should make it easier to screenshot. And any other videos that you've seen when you're not able to see anything clear, please comment or get in contact with me, and I'm going to do my best to give you some clear pictures of it since I got this new phone. Seeing your billion-fanged mouths blaze like the fire of doomsday, I faint, I stagger, I despair. Have mercy on me, Lord. Vishnu. As the moths rush into the flame and are burned in an instant, all being plunged down your gullet and instantly are consumed. Bhagavad Gita 1129 and 1125. Lucia's lecture on proteins and dragons was the final authorization for our passport to hell, and now I found myself thinking about otherworldly or psychotic experiences that so-called schizophrenics endure, such as the delusion of double awareness, also known as the imaginary companion or string theory proposal of the anti-person made of a subatomic anti-string. I recall from my readings that one psychotic patient imagined shrinking into a screaming, squirming heap of formless matter, and another had visions of being set on fire like a log. It was my belief that these patients were experiencing physical reactions on a quantum molecular scale, as were the creative artists who had been diagnosed mad by physicians. For instance, the death-haunted poet Roque, who wrote in his notebook that he practiced walking the void, was described by psychologists as manic depressive, psychotic, and paranoid schizophrenic. The poet said that the moment before nothingness, before near annihilation, the moment of supreme disgust is the worst. Anton Artaud also described this moment as the horrible repulsion of the nameless. But Artaud and Roque believed that much could be learned from terror, anxiety, and fear of spiritual forms, which are, according to the pharaohs, simply molecular forms in the quantum world. Perhaps one remedy for the physician's diagnostic disaster may be a course in simple physics. They could call it psychophysics, the ergodic discipline, where they could learn that an awareness of quantum events is not madness but genius, and that some have an inherited disposition for these abilities by means of their bloodlines, their genes. If what is labeled madness is simply an unguided excursion into the quantum world, then all people will experience this insanity when they die. Even the clinicians, for life at death breaks down to molecular elements undergoing chemical processes. Imagine the physician's horror to discover at death that they have descended into the lurid dream state of their hallucinating, deluded patients. Now what? It seems that their diagnostic manuals also labels residual symptoms of schizophrenic disorder, such as clairvoyance, telepathy, sixth sense Others can feel my feelings and sensing the presence of a force or person not actually present. Certainly, Goya experienced the last symptom at age 72 when he painted his uncommissioned black paintings found on the walls of his home. The old canvas Saturn devouring his children is a gruesome view of the mythological god Saturn, who, with maddened eyes and a voracious blood mouth, cannibalizes a naked, decapitated human corpse. Naturally, the desire to exist in the world in the human form makes one step back in horror from this painting. Yet as humans, we easily eat or cannibalize the meat of beheaded animal corpses without feeling a concern, any type of concern, rather. Taboos aside, perhaps we can connect the image to meaning by viewing Saturn as simply an effaced sign for the natural process of energy consumption and absorption in the realm of gods, which is the molecular zone where one's elements are recycled. One can certainly understand that the gods in the dwarf world must also eat, that death is the force that makes us food for gods. If we enter the afterlife without knowledge of chemical pathways, eat or be eaten, as they say. Another black painting, Duello e Garantazos, stages two massive men, possibly brothers, in a peaceful rustic countryside, mercilessly striking each other with clubs. One combatant is badly bloodied, and both are crummied, whether quagmired in quicksand, as if fated to fight eternally like the Egyptian brothers Seth and Horus, or better, if one unveils the lost sign, the combatants are two proteins grounded on the lambda genome, battling for genetic control over vegetative replication. Like the courageous poet Roth, Goya had a glaring sense of death that haunted him, that forced him to boldly paint his visions on canvas. Yet, in the modern world, the madman's attempts to define what is beyond human existence results in a silencing of by physicians of the mind who know less than their patients about the quantum experience. Indeed, even the warrior Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita did not understand the terrifying, infinite, primal form of God, and he begged for relief from the horrific vision, apologizing for thinking the monstrous forms of his God were human. And the God who claimed he was deaf assured Arjuna that few saw this unthinkable form despite study, rites of or practice, and that the person who loved him without detachment would meet him again in the end. Arjuna could only stutter, "Show me your other form, please, the one that I know. Have mercy." Alas, Arjuna was fated to meet the unveiled horrid manifestation again at death. And this same revelation that schizophrenics experience in life, the moment of supreme disgust before annihilation, may be the vision that the hero Kurtz saw and had the charity not to reveal when he raps the horror, the horror. Disheartened by my perception, I watched Lucia moving about her lab, preparing for the cloning experiment. There was no reprieve. It was time for John and I to go. Joining Lucia, we immediately spotted the white vial of diamond crystal next to the hybridization oven. The gold sparkled in the morning sunlight like fluorescent frost. To the right was the adjoining room where Lucia kept the powder, and glancing inside and above the safe, an enormous drawing of the jackal god Anubis startled me. Remembering his role as the god who guided the dead through the underworld to Osiris, I peered into the god's dagger-sharp, misshapen eyes that brooded above and indifferent muzzle, terminating in a frozen human face impaled in its nostrils. Austere, almighty, foreboding, the jackal god stalked me from its shadowy cavern as if sentencing me to death. John too was staring at the dark demon in the dim room. Noticing this, Lucia casually commented, Anubis has often been called the son of Osiris and is identified with the young horse, the new species. The text says that the dead person receives a jackal face. This simply means the molecular form of the core DNA molecule of the new species looks like a jackal face. A jackal face? Unbelievable, I thought. Walking over to her desk near the windows, she opened a text and showed us a drawing of the structure of DNA nucleosomes, formed by an automata of 8 basic proteins. Octama, rather. She explained that the DNA double helix wraps around the octama and a histone secures the DNA to the nucleosome core, anchoring into the backbone of the chromosome. Somewhat comforted, we could see the molecule's core had sequences of amino acids that did resemble a jackal's face. Still, one had to have imagination to see the circular web of interlinked helices arranged in a quaternary structure as the head of a jackal. A quick review of the text informed us that the proteins fold within milliseconds along a well-defined reaction pathway into a unique conformation, and this energy landscape is a rugged funnel where there are valleys within valleys. First, it folds like a linear amino acid chain, then into helices, which assemble to each other as it is guided into natural shape. Apparently, navigating the folding funnel is like crystallization because the proteins flow from a coil or unfolded state to a frozen folded structure. You could imagine the funnel as a champagne glass sloping smoothly through the descending circumferential rings of the goblet to the unique folded state rather at the core. Instantly, the architecture of Dante's Inferno spun through my mind like dust devils. His ear was pierced in the northern hemisphere to the center by a hole shaped like an irregular cone, a funnel, and it was crystal clear to me that Dante's circles of hell were like the circles of the Egyptian duat. His monster disk was Apopis, Beatrice was Isis, and the ferryman Charon's counterpart was the sun god. Hell was the folding of a protein through a funnel energy landscape. I then understood that on the quantum level, the spinning vortex of Earth's magnetic sphere was simply a protein folding funnel. The duat hell was a journey through a protein folding funnel. John could see this also. Then Lucia said the funerary texts state that the deceased is unique and the descriptions of his new form include being coiled within a serpentine middle, having a spinal cord in a nest, and hinder parts like a broad hall. It would take an idiot not to recognize these descriptions as the different levels of protein structure. The magnitude of Lucia's research made me see that Egyptian science far superseded modern accomplishments, for the ancient hieroglyphs and the images describe the pathway of protein folding to its unique structure after human death. In essence, this was a horizontal gene transfer resulting in the nucleation of a unique species that would replicate into human viral clones. Again, futurity flashed forth and my mind connected to the 1998 discovery that Japan's Kinki University scientists would clone 8 identical calves using cells from the single adult cow. Stunned by this revelation, I realized that 5,000 years earlier, the Egyptians were cloning Apis bulls, black bulls with a white diamond on the forehead, a beetle image on its tongue, and the figure of an eagle on its back, and a tail with double hairs. Each special calf descended from a virgin cow struck by lightning that was incapable of conceiving another offspring. In genetics, this type of lightning asexual breeding for specific traits is called cloning, or forming genetically identical calves by nuclear transplantation. The Egyptians cloned these revered identical apis calves 5,000 years ago before the Japanese experiments. I took a deep breath as John leafed through the textbook while Lucia returned to her vows and agar plates. My soul searched for something that would distract me from my own thoughts, and glancing upward, I saw a painting on the wall above the window. In a mauve atmosphere tinged with yellow, a barefoot woman in a sheer ivory dress sat weightlessly, almost disembodied on the northern pole of the large brown globe, probably Earth, with her blindfolded face illuminated and her golden hair tied back. Her head was bent down into a loom as if she were being rewoven. There was a quotation by the painter. Hope. George Frederick Watts, 1886. I paint ideas, not things. I paint primarily because I have something to say, and since the gift of eloquent language has been denied to me, I use painting. My intention is not so much to paint pictures which shall please the eye, as to suggest great thoughts which shall speak to the imagination and to the heart, and arouse all that is best and noblest in humanity. We come to an end of chapter 27. Next time we pick back up, it'll be chapter 28. So, again, peace and shalom. I'll let y'all later.